Hello, hello, hello. Cool. So, how is everyone? Just leave my hair. Goodness. Okie dokie. So, I've come off a morning of doing training prep. So, our Achieve program is going online, commencing tomorrow. So, quite excited to give that a go, presenting to a different group online. So, that always has its challenges. So, what I wanted to chat about in this live is about being present now. So, in the past, for a long time actually, the concept of being present now was very much just a concept, a theoretical concept for myself. I didn't quite get what it was about. And I hadn't had a necessary an experience of what being present now was. So over time, with certain trainings, learnings, practices, experiments, what has happened is my ability to be present, to be here now in this body. Actually, one little practice you can do is to just tap on your heart and just go, I am Andrea Martell, or insert your name there, right? Because you're not me. And just that process and tapping on the heart meridian to bring us present and into now, and consciously bringing us into our body. So that's just one little exercise. And so what's nice is, through all the things that I've done, having the ability to get more and more present. And the beauty of that, and I guess the why, like why bother being present, is that it enhances joy. When I'm not here, then I'm disassociated and I'm not having the experience of being here and now. And that also limits my capacity to connect, not just with myself, but with the others that I'm being present to. And so with the work that I do, this is critical. And not only is it just in the work that I do, but also just in day-to-day relating to people and life. If I'm not consciously here, if I'm stuck, thinking about something that happened yesterday or something that happened days and days ago, then I'm not here. I'm not experiencing the moment. And so the beautiful thing is that my ability to be present now has deepened and has enhanced and has increased over time. And it's something that I've now built into daily practice. And why this has sort of come up now is that just in the last few days, I've had a few other levels drop in around this that I thought it'd be cool to share. So, yeah, there's a great book it was on my to read list for ages, and I just hadn't gone out and purchased the book. But I was staying at an Airbnb at the beginning of this year, and the book happened to be on the bookshelf in this Airbnb that I was staying at. And so the book is called The Power of Now, and it's an Eckhart Tolle book. And that was really good. And through just even reading his words, there was a few sections in the book that really enabled that ability to not just be present here and now, but to have an actual felt experience of that. Because what happens with being here and now, not only does it make us more receptive and more everything, more joy, it opens us up to have these expansive experiences where we not only have connected in deeper with ourselves, but we then relate to our surroundings, our environment, and we can connect with them. And it's a difficult experience to necessarily explain, other than it feels like I guess it's like an orgasm. Like if you were to try and describe what an orgasm feels like, that's what feeling. That's how difficult it is to explain that real strong, powerful sense of being present here and now, and then relating to how we connect in with our surroundings and what's going on there. Yeah, so sort of with learning and realizing the importance of being present. I guess what has really come up for me in learning that is how future-based I am. And, I've always been that way. And what's, I guess, realizing is that whole future projection stuff really comes from is not necessarily feeling safe or secure in the present, but also it's an escapism mechanism. So just like, any other addiction or escaping mechanism, drugs, alcohol, social media, all the good things, right? Is that by me constantly future projecting, which has its benefits, don't get me wrong, very useful with planning and organizing, things that I am exceptionally good at. I don't know if you can hear the dog snoring. She's snoring like fully. Is that really what that was? Was an escaping and getting away from myself. Okay, so if I'm constantly imagining and visioning how life's going to be in the future, well, then I'm not really here now, present, having the actual reality, real experience of living, because I'm too far in the future. So it was great. It's probably been a couple of years of having that realization of how future-based I actually am, and taking time and consciously thinking, all right, that's great. Let's do that for a little while where it's useful and beneficial, but choosing to come back now and have these experiences. So I guess in the last couple of days, something that's sort of where I enhanced my learnings around this was, with this whole social distancing world where, we can't gather or we can't organize, catch-ups with people face to face, is that my schedule for 2020 is, cleared out. All the concerts have been taken out. All the, I was meant to have a girls' weekend to Tasmania with some friends, so that's been taken out. So my schedule for this year is, the future planning has been taken out, and that was sort of quite interesting. And then despite that, I was still having I've had, I remember I was given a diary by my uncle when I was young. It was a Christmas present or a birthday present, and from that time, I don't know how old I was, I kept a diary, and it was something that I really enjoyed, writing out everyone's birthdays and putting in your plans, and then, can't remember what year, but I graduated from having a physical diary to just sort of doing a digital, online. And I've maintained that for, God, it would be well over, 20 years of having, a planner. So anyway, I sort of acknowledge that as much as these are useful tools, particularly right now where, I don't have as much scheduled in, is that I can remove that from my life. So I've still got my calendar version of my planner with, my birthday that's coming up in a couple of weeks. But I had always constantly put in the things that I hoped to get done and achieve and whatnot. And what would happen is either things would get done or they wouldn't, and they'd get pushed further, so you'd copy them from this week into the next week. And to the point that, I had, a couple of years in advance there as well. It's like, well, I've got this great plan for these retreats that I want to run, and I've got a name for it. And, I was kind of foreseeing that, late next year. So I don't know what month it had been in, but anyway. So I yesterday went through the process of getting rid of my month-to-month planner and my annual planning, which, by the way, this is how organized and or neurotic, OCD, depending on how you want to look at it. Where was I going with that? I had a really good example of how OCD and neurotic I am. Oh, the annual bit, and it was broken into quarters as well. So you'd have, 2021 quarter one, what am I going to achieve? 2021 quarter two, what am I going to achieve? So I got rid of all of that yesterday, and it was a little bit of a hi Monique, great to see you. It was a little bit of a therapeutic process. There was some emotions that came up with getting rid of that part of myself, because, as I said, I've been doing that for many, many years, and it, kind of, it is something that I would check in pretty much daily, make adjustments and move this to there and whatnot. And so, as I said, I'm still keeping my calendar, but this monthly, annual, quarterly breakdown planner into the future that has heavily been a part of my day-to-day routines, I went through and got rid of yesterday. And it was, there was a bit of, well, who am I if I'm not doing this thing that I've always done? Removing it. And so the whole intention of that was just removing some of the obstacles, things that I have in place that prevent me from being present and being here now. And it was just realizing how unnecessary, sometimes useful, but unnecessary, because I've got other things that I do to keep track of things getting done. Like, I've still got a to-do list. And as I said, I've still got my calendar. Oh, natural seasonal calendars. Yes. Ooh, yeah, I can speak to that. I'll see you in spring. Yeah, and actually I have played with the idea of scheduling things via a cycle, particularly being a woman, and with us having our monthly cycles, is that there's different times that we have more energy, where we're more likely to produce outcomes and get things done, and then there's the time of our cycle where we go inward and just need to rest and nurture and really look after ourselves. And I have played with scheduling around that. So I deliberately during my monthly bleed is I deliberately don't schedule things in that week unless I absolutely have to. And it's not to say that I can't. It's just I'm not going to be coming from a place where I'm like, yeah, everything is awesome. Let's get shit done, right? Because you just, for me personally, I don't feel it during that time. For others, it might be different. So yeah, that whole using the cycles is a really cool way of using working out when we're best energized to do certain things. So that was quite a process yesterday, quite exciting and horrifying at the same time, which is great. But again, it was just acknowledging that I am very much a future projection based person. Naturally, I have just always been that way. But we're looking for ways to decrease my futurism and get back to being present now, because it has extreme benefits for myself. So I talk to the concept around gratitude a lot, because that in itself, when we're, going, right, what am I grateful for right now? Okay, and I quite often will, in any questioning that I do for myself, put the addition of right now. I was just working out some questions for some training that I was prepping before, and how am I feeling right now? Yes, so adding that addition, it forces me to contemplate where I am right now, and in doing so, I have to bring my consciousness and my awareness to where I am right now, not how I'm going to be feeling next week, which is where I like to play. Anyway, I have been also playing with the concept of receptivity. Okay, so being open to receiving. So we're probably by design in a world that's very much about, well, what can I give? What can I do? What can I provide? Very much that masculine side of things. And I guess, again, looking to counterbalance that, because, quite often if we're constantly in that doing, achieving, striving, outcome-based, getting shit done, we're likely to lead ourselves to burnout. And yes, I have been there. Or it, keeps our adrenals and our stress hormones and whatnot kicking constantly, and not having that ability to just rest and relax. And of course, I've spoken to the benefits of that before. So this concept of receptivity, and I was sort of playing with, how receptive am I? How open am I to receiving, particularly with the concept of, if I decide that I want something, or am I actually open to then getting this thing that I want? So I came up with a question structure, and surprisingly, simple question had a powerful response for me. So the question is what am I receiving now? And so if I reflect on that question right now, what am I receiving right now? So it's interesting. The whole a lot of work that people do around getting present now is focusing on the breath. And it was funny then, because as I asked the question, the first thing I did was consciously breathed in. So what am I receiving? I'm receiving oxygen. I'm receiving air. I'm receiving sustenance, life. Right now, I I'm receiving some sun rays through the window on my face, and I can feel that warmth. So I'm receiving warmth. I'm receiving support on the seat chair that I'm sitting on. I'm receiving the ability to connect and do a Facebook Live. So I'm receiving technology, internet, Monique commenting. So I'm receiving connection. I'm receiving in this moment that I am actually giving. And in doing so, that does something for me that makes me feel good and do it, right? So I'm receiving me being of service in doing this, and that makes me feel good. So what am I receiving right now? And in reflecting on this question, I love it because it's I've always done the gratitude side of things, but this whole what am I receiving right now, it's like a deeper level of gratitude. And it brings me so present, so into myself in that moment of contemplation that it then has that expansive feeling of opening myself up to receive more. Okay, because it's being grateful for what I'm already receiving and then opening me up to then have the opportunity to receive more of the good stuff. Really, really cool. So it's funny. It's like it's been the last 48 hours has been this theme around being more present now, and this whole idea around receptivity and being receptive and being receiving and in gratitude of all the things that I'm getting. So it's been really fun and quite interesting. And I love it that there can just be the simplicity of one simple question that can change my whole awareness, my whole state, how I'm feeling, and just where I am currently. So yeah, I thought that would be a fun share. So another thing that I've been prepping today is in doing some prep work for a full moon ceremony. So that's the second one that myself and Leo and Alex are going to be running. It's not for a week and a half yet. I think the actual full moon itself is the 7th of May, and we're running ours the following Sunday evening. So if you're interested in joining us for that, please let me know. I've got a Facebook group that I can pop you into. I'll share the link. I'll share the link to that group. So, okie dokie. So, in presence and full receptivity mode now. Adios. Thanks for listening.